What is that winning team? Good morning, happy Sabbath. It is Saturday and Halloween is over. Praise Jesus. I always have this thing about Halloween, like in the weeks leading up, like how everybody starts to celebrate, where it just spiritually, I could just feel how demonic it is and it gets to me. So like every time the morning after Halloween, I feel like a new woman because I'm like, the spiritual intensity just reduces. So I've got so much energy, and also the leaves are falling, get off the trees, get off of there, get naked. I can't wait. It is that time of year just before everybody starts obsessing over Christmas, which is again when I'm going to want to shoot myself again, because I'm not celebrating Christmas this year, by the way, side note, because I just feel like it's all about overconsumption and just like it's just a waste of time. And I know, it's just an excuse for everybody to pretend that they're not living like slaves the rest of the year. That's how I feel about holidays, to be honest. I feel like we just have these few days of the year where we all gather together, spend money we don't have all this pressure, sweep uncomfortable things under the carpet, and pretend as if we're not living in slavery. So yeah, no. But I just wanted to come on here because I'm in such a good mood. You guys, I'm in such a good mood. And I was like, I have to burn off some energy because now that it's over, I was just there like trying to wait for the day to start. And I was like, when the sun rises, I got to just get up. I couldn't help myself. I was like, you could just chill, just go back to sleep. Not going to happen, okay? Not going to happen because I'm me. Yeah, not going to happen. Still obviously feeling unwell, but you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like now because of mentally, I feel in a slightly different headspace than before. Even though my body is still shutting down, as per freaking usual. See what I'm saying? They're cutting everything down because why can we see the river from here? I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh yeah, and I'm wearing my BCA cheerleaders t-shirt, which is very overworn. But I'm just so I'm just obsessed with the fact that I competed at the British Cheerleading Nationals. BCA, British Cheerleading Association, but it wasn't the Nationals. And so, yeah, and I'm just like, oh. So I love all of my competition. That was one of my favorite things about competitions and stuff, was the t-shirts, was the so I've kept all the merch. I've thrown away basically every other piece of clothing that I owned prior to being in London, even prior to 2 years ago, really. Except I've kept all the merch and I've kept my cheerleading uniforms as well because I want to keep checking every few years if I can still fit into them, because boy, if the sucking in and all this that we did to get into some of them uniforms, that comp, but then we would look fire on the mat. So anyway, so yes, the leaves are falling. Look at this. There's leaves falling. Oh, the trees are looking bare. Oh, my favorite. This is what I'm talking about. This is, Lord, just take me out. This is my time to give me the break that I'm asking for, where I can be amongst the trees in the winter, in the gorgeous wet. Look, it's cold. We're frostbiting. We're frostbitten. You guys can't see it, but there's even a little bit of condensation, I guess. I don't know. I'm supposed to be a scientist. From me breathing. But yeah, so I had something to actually talk about. And I just can't remember what it was. Actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about something that I want to talk about that's kind of controversial. Low key, right? So I've watched Mean Girls twice, the original Mean Girls, in the last 2 months, right? And low key, I love Regina George. And when I say I love her, I don't mean I love her as a character. I love her as a person, because low key, right? Think about all the girls in the mix. I've been thinking a lot about womanhood, and how we operate as women and what kind of woman I want to be, That's something I've been struggling with because I know that as a woman, obviously, the most easiest way to be loved and accepted by women is to basically hate myself, be insecure, hate men, not think anything good about me, shy away, be average, you know what I mean? Because anytime you have any type of confidence or success as a woman, oh, the cats are coming for you. The cats are coming for your neck, right? So I've been thinking about this whole Regina George thing, right? Because obviously the popular opinion is that she's like the bully, the mean one. But like, let's be so freaking for real, right? Just like how I say about celebrities, they only have the place they have, like as celebrities, because everybody kisses their butt. Same with Regina George. And I feel like she recognizes that. Look at this. You see what I'm saying? See this tree? Has apples on it. These are just free apples. How many of anybody has paid for apples this week? Look at this. There's just apples on this tree. Just apples on the tree. Look at this. You can't see the apples on the tree, I don't think, very well. But look. This apple's just here. Just all on the floor. And meanwhile, people are breaking their backs and counting their pennies, buying ingredients in the supermarkets. Actually hate it here. Actually hate it here on planet Earth. Just like to say. When God is like, nature just creates itself, like all these berries again, all just dead, dying. People could have been eating them. How much money are people spending on berries in their groceries? You know what I mean? The animals just roaming around. But now we only go to farmers. We don't have our own animals. Like, I hate it here. I hate it here on planet Earth. I really do. Oh, there's a branch in the way. Anyway, I'm really in a good mood this morning because why am I, but this is like me all the time. I just be waking up at 4 a.m. waiting for the sunrise so that I can get outside and get some oxygen. Okay, just chill. Actually chill out. I need to chill. So, what was the story I was saying? Yeah, low-key, yeah. Regina George. I actually like her because I feel like she's the only she's the only respectable one of all the girls involved in the entire school. I'm going to explain why I think that. So, majority of the girls, they just worship her. If they didn't all worship her, if they didn't care, then she wouldn't have the power. Like, I feel like this is going to be such a hot take, but like, I've had people in my life try to bully me, and it's like, when I was at school, and I was just like, I just rejected it. Like, who are you? Like, I remember when I was like 8 or something, and there was this girl who was like maybe 11, and she's quite a big girl, right? And I can't believe I've always had just so much just attitude, to be honest. The attitude is tooting. And she started trying to like, you know, act aggressive towards me. And I literally said to her, this is me at like 8 years old, yeah? I was like, so what, you're bigger than me, you're going to sit on me, and what have you really achieved? Like, that's not impressive. Like, you're not impressive. Just because you're big enough to crush me, go ahead. Like, you've not achieved nothing. She never bothered me again. And, you know, I'm just like, first of all, sometimes we give too much credit to people who don't actually matter because they're taking advantage of the fact that we are giving them the power. Like, so I feel like majority of the girls in the school were giving the power to Regina. And I feel like Regina understood how, like, Regina reminded me of Jezebel in a lot of ways, right? Because it's like she gave all the power. People gave her the power. She realized how stupid the people were. And she just took advantage of getting away, the fact that she could get away with everything she wanted to get away with. Because the flipping school is all worshipping her just because of what she said. She just makes up stuff. Everybody just follows it blindly, right? Even the guys, she's all sleeping with the freaking Shane in the projector room on a Thursday, knowing that the other dude is too much of an idiot to consider she would ever do something like that, you know, and stay with her because he's too lost in the sauce, right? Because he's lost in the sauce. I'm saying honestly, I respect her because she's taken power over everybody, but the power that she has over people, they're acting like she took it, but they all gave it to her, right? Her little clique, right? Her little clique of girls. You obviously got the one who's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Bless her heart. You know, that's kind of her character. And she's probably the next most respectable character for me. You've got the girl with the curly hair, the one who knows all the details about absolutely everybody, all of Regina's actual secrets that nobody else knows. And again, she just cares too much for Regina's validation, right? And it's like, why do you care? Like, in the school dynamics, people have asked me before, like, what kind of group were you in at school, right? And I don't want to get into that in this video, because in my opinion, I was never in any particular group, okay? Well, by the time I got to year 11, I used to go and hang around with everybody. That's what I used to do at my lunch break. I would literally go around to every single class of every single group in the year, and I would hang out with whoever was my friends in every single class. And did I have a friend group in the first year? Yes. And was it very toxic and mean girlish? Absolutely. It's worse than Mean Girls, actually. Way worse than Mean Girls. A lot more vicious, and just a lot. But anyway, so the curly haired girl is just, again, like, why do you care so much about Regina's validation? If you just didn't care for her validation, she just wouldn't have power over you. It's literally that simple. And then you have the other girl. Oh yeah, Gretchen and Katie. Gretchen, it's the same as Katie. Oh, not Katie. Katie. We'll come to her in a second. Then you have, who's the other one? Oh, there's only 3 of them. Of course there's only 3 of them. Then you have Katie, right? She comes into the school. Now here's the thing. At first, I always wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, yeah? And because she was, and this is one of the reasons I hate school, because if you've never been in the school system, you don't know how school works, and you don't know how the societal cues and the societal everything and the societal understandings of all the nonsense of how things work, right? So she was highly naive. Hold on a minute, you guys. I'ma be right back. So as I was saying, guys, can I tell you what's the best thing about going out early in the morning any day? When you go out like at the crack of dawn, when dawn has shown its crack, right? Literally, the best men in the world are the ones who are up at that time. They're all in their vans, in their combats, in their high vis, in their boots, going to work to build the world. And I'm just like, God, this is what I know this is going to sound actually insane. Genuinely makes me feel better about being alive. Like, I'm not even joking. I don't even need to touch. I don't even need to taste. But just the visuals alone, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad after all. Like, I literally could never be gay. Like, I can't think of, I could never be gay. Anyway, that's what this video is about. So yeah, as I was saying about Katie, right? Giving her the benefit of the doubt, okay? This is her first time. She's not used to it. Whatever. She doesn't know the customs. However, what I want to point out that no one else has pointed out, and again, why I respect Regina George more, is that her and the other girl, right, who she befriended, the black-haired girl, I never remember people's names for anything, guys, in the world. I'm just struggling to remember people's names. I'm not good with names. Great with faces. I'll remember a face. I'll remember even where I know you from. I will not remember your name. I'm just not good at anything that's to do with words and letters. Yeah, so she says, as she's here writing books and writing research papers. No, unless I have to really, really try. Anyway, so Katie and the flipping black-haired girl. Oh my gosh, this guy who's about to walk past me. Oh my gosh, he saw me making crackhead videos yesterday. At this point, but to be honest, when I'm making videos, I can entirely forget that I exist on planet Earth, and it's problematic. Anywho, and yeah, so Katie and the other girl plotted against Regina. The minute they made a devious plot to crush another woman, they immediately lowered themselves to the level that they were accusing her of. Because if they wanted to really, like, take the high road or be better, or if they were better, right, they would have just do what any other woman would do. Like some of us, you just become the example of what you wish existed in the midst of dealing with the other thing that you see as the problem, if that makes sense. You don't become like the problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the way that they all decided to like, they were plotting together like, oh my gosh, let's crush Regina. It's like, well, it looks like you got demons in you as well. Do you know what I'm saying? It looks like you got demons in you. And even that black-haired girl, right? Again, she's another one who, I did like her until I've been just thinking about it since I'm watching the film a couple of times. And I feel like it's just one of those things that I've been keep seeing it because it's like to actually make me think about the actual realities of being a girl, right? And it's like, but girl, you're plotting and planning. You've let Regina change you entirely as a person. Again, the black-haired girl gave Regina George all the power because she's changed everything. She choreographed the jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell dance, right? That was her choreography because they mention it in the movie. So it's like, oh my gosh, I just saw a guy I know from school. That is so freaking awkward. And he just looked directly at me. That's embarrassing. He just drove past me. Thank the Lord he was in his car. Anyway, especially because of the lore of the situation. The lore. These are all lores, I'll tell you all one day. By the way, excuse my face. I have a rash. Listen, it's the stress. It's the eczema popping up. It's popping up all over my body. I get it on my face. I usually get it on my chin. So that's why there's a little bit on my chin. Anyway, actually, hold on. Also, am I surprised that this guy grew up to be one of the guys who's up for work at this time of the day? No, I am not. Anyways, so she gave Regina George too much power, I feel like, because why do you actually care? Like with Regina, like, why have you let that become your whole personality? You're all gothic vibes now, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you're all like anti-everything. Like your entire personality has now shifted because of Regina. And when I was looking at Regina's face, right, I was thinking to myself, you know what? She reminds me a lot of Jezebel, where it's like, I'm kind of just doing this because it's so easy, because everybody's making it easy. The men are all acting like slaves. The girls are all acting like minions. And if I want to crush anybody, because everybody is all giving me all this power, I'm just taking advantage of it because I can, because you're giving it to me anyway. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what kind of makes me laugh about the whole situation. And yes, I do think she's one of those girls who does enjoy the validation as well, you know what I mean? And enjoys, to some degree, being worshipped. But it's like, my point is that people act like she's the enemy, right? But in reality, everyone who is looking at her like the enemy gave her the power that she has over them, because they could just take it away just the same way. Just like how that stupid dingbat guy, whatever, who was sitting in front of Katie in math class, right? As soon as Regina they broke up, she left him, she gaslit him in the party and was like, what do you mean I left you? I would never leave you, right? After they clearly were not together. She kisses him. The next day they're back together. I was like, are you an idiot? Are you an idiot? But then I just remember, men, they're slaves. Bless them. We love them. Slaves. And then she's, having sex with the other guy in the freaking projection room at the same time, whatever. And then, whatever. Anyway, and this is the funny part. When Katie gets caught out, like for whatever, and this is where Regina's genius, because she knows how everything works. She knows how to control everybody because everybody's given her the power. So that's why at the end of the movie, she's the one who can be like, I'm going to take my burn book and I'm going to go and place it like as if it was written by the other girls. And she's put the other girls in a position where we're either going to go into a full-blown catfight, which you're going to lose because I'm Regina George and you've given me all this power, right? Or you guys are just going to have to bear the brunt of whatever. And then Katie ends up taking the brunt and then feeling all like, oh, I'm sorry for what I did. And it's like, what? No offense, but like, I get that everybody all apologize and that's all great. Oh, the leaves are falling. Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. Glory be to God. Anyway. And yeah, you lost all your, at the end of the day, like, in trying to go against the bully, you became exactly like the bully. You became crushed by the bully, and that's the only reason you really apologize, because they were having too much fun. She all became what do you call it? She became a plastic, and she was all walking in her pink and her whatever down the hallway and doing her makeup just like Jezebel and all this stuff, right? And it's like, sister, how are you any different? It just proves that, and this is my point, it just proves what I always say to you guys, that I feel like as humans, we have this tendency to look at other people, right, in certain positions and look at them as if like, how could they do that? I can't believe you're rich already, so why would you become a degenerate? Why would you have this behavior? And I'm like, all that happens is once you gain money, power, or fame, the devil's temptation trio, it always reveals the true nature of anyone. And so a lot of people, you're too broke to be degenerate. You're too broke to be like doing these things in underground tunnels. You're too broke to be evil. You're too broke to take advantage of people. If you had money, if you had power, if you had fame, you'd be doing those things. That's actually my point. And this is what I'm saying. I don't want to go down these stairs because I don't know why these stairs are here. Look at this, guys, right? Why have they made stairs here? Why have they made stairs here? So they can encourage the public to come down this lovely area. I don't even come and sit here anymore. There's so many places I don't go to anymore because they're just making it all public. And so then when I come to just sit and listen to nature and be amongst nature and watch the animals, I see people walking past and going, excuse me, or on the phone and stuff. And I'm just like, Lord, actually shoot me. Yeah. Because I'm just trying to get my little, moment of just like peace in this wretched world I live in this hellscape that I've been born into, in this life that has been forced upon me. I'm just trying to have a breather to help me to cope. And then there's other freaking humans, other freaking participators of entropy bothering my energy space. So yeah, it does bother me. That's why I need my castle in Antarctica. Listen, with my animals, my 9 dogs, my five Siberian tigers, my 4 Icelandic horses. You know what I mean? Just alone in my private jet and just alone. You know what I mean? And the best speakers you ever did hear in my house and a grand piano. You know what I mean? And whatever. And anyway, we're not going to get into all the details of my dream house in Antarctica. And I pick Antarctica because it's cold, by the way. And ideally, I'll just have my own island. Anyway, yeah, they're really cutting down all the trees because why can't I see any trees here? Oh my gosh, I'm going to just run in front of traffic in a second. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But yeah, so I feel like Regina George is just an example of somebody who's kind of got to the Jezebelic level of understanding, which is where I feel like I'm at, where you're you just understand how people are and you just understand how society is and you just decide where you want to place yourself in it because you recognize that at the end of the day, right? Regina actually trusted KD, this will help you lose weight. We have this in Africa. So she was actually trying to be a friend as much as she was, toxic and whatever. In her head, to an extent, she was trying to be a friend to those girls, but they were also just allowing her so much to be a tyrant, but then was she really a tyrant or was she just using the opportunity she had? The same way that I look at the world today, the same way I look at society, the same way I look at the Kardashians, the same way I look at a Diddy, the same way I look at these church leaders, to an extent, I do blame them for because you have a choice when you realize you have power. I was talking about this yesterday. When you realize you have certain power, it's up to you to choose how you're going to use it. If you're going to use it for good or for evil, right? But the other thing is people are also making a choice as to how they're giving you power to wield. So for example, like I'm saying, the world today will look at a mother like Kris Jenner who prostituted her daughter. I'll see on social media, a mum will feed her children, right? And she's doing her best, she's got no money. And people will be ripping her to shreds in the comment section. And then I'll see a clip of the freaking Kim Kardashian show, Keeping Up with Kardashians. And people are like, oh my gosh, Kris Jenner is such a loving mother. I'm like, she prostituted her daughter. You were ripping to shreds another mother because you didn't like that she didn't put a vegetable on the plate with her children. But you rip her to shreds, right? And she's doing her best and she's at least trying. And you can see that she's putting in at 110%, right? And then you'll look at a Kris Jenner who literally made her daughter redo the sex tape, right? redo the sex tape. Like, this is the stuff I'd be thinking about when I'm telling you guys, I think that this planet is so stupid and I hate being here, right? You look at somebody like Kris Jenner, who made her own daughter. I can't imagine in any reality ever allowing my daughter to do something like that. The way that she would have to hate me, and I'll be like, baby girl, you gonna love me in 30 years, okay? Hate me if you need to. This can't happen. We are not prostituting you. Your body is not for sale. You are not to show your body off to the whole world, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made by the Lord, and you are a gem, and you are a diamond, and somebody has to earn the right to see you naked. What the hell are we doing on, oh my gosh, Kris Jenner drives me crazy, right? But the world will be like, oh my gosh, Kris Jenner, you can see how much she cares about her kids, and oh my gosh, she was born to be a glamour. Go and screw yourselves, you idiots. This is why the Regina Georges of the world exist. This is why the world is the way it is. This is why it's always the freaking evil people who are getting away with everything. Because we go, oh no, there's this evil, but then you're the one giving the evil the power. You're the one platform. Like, every time I see the Keeping Up with Kardashians has another season, I'm like, are we still watching this? There's so many people, there's so many things in the world where it's like people have been caught out doing actually heinous things. And I'm like, you know, this is the only thing we would have to do as people, the powers of the people, is just wait for this wisdom. This is going to be genius, right? Switch it off. Don't watch. Don't give the attention. Don't give them that one view, because you might think your one view is just one view, but everybody thinks their one view is that one view. And if 1 million people think their one view is a one view, that ends up to 1 million views. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yeah, everything just annoying me here on this planet. And I just feel like Regina George honestly is my hero. Regina George is my hero, because she's like, she knows who she is. Of everybody, she's the only person I feel like who actually understands who she truly is and isn't lying to herself about who she is. Because everybody else wants to believe they're so good, but as soon as they go through something, right? As soon as Gretchen goes through the whole situation where she doesn't feel like she's Regina's favorite anymore, she immediately starts sharing Regina's secrets. So that means the only reason she was keeping them is not because she's got the character of somebody who doesn't share secrets. It means that she was keeping secrets because if selfishly she was getting the validation she wanted from Regina. Everybody was proving that, well, the things they were doing selfishly. The black-haired girl, she wanted to get revenge on Regina. Now, Regina said something heinous to her, obviously. Like, why are you so obsessed with me? I think you're a lesbian or whatever. And again, I think she's pathetic, because if somebody says that to me as a woman, right, and we've all just established that I'm not a lesbian, I'll be like, and so the hell if I was. And that would end the argument. The moment she took that to heart so much and got so upset is the moment that Regina was able to realize that she had all the power again, right? And again, she's another one. She's complaining about how Regina behaves and how Regina's mean and Regina's a mean girl. But as soon as you had the opportunity, you became a mean girl. You decided to take advantage of this vulnerable, ignorant new girl at the school to go and get your revenge for your things. Katie didn't have any problems with Regina. It was that other black-haired girl who was the one who had the problem. And she's the one who then made Regina she was the one who then made Katie have to go against Regina for her own thing. So that was selfish again. You're sacrificing your so-called friend, getting her involved in ugly behavior because of your own vendetta that you could not get over as a pathetic little loser. So again, loser. I'm like, you know what, Regina? Fair dues, sister. I hear it. Because that's what they're allowing to happen. That's what they're encouraging. You know what I mean? Because they're giving her the power. Like, that's what I'm saying. One thing I've learned in life, right, guys, even me who complains all the time about, people taking advantage of me. But a lot of the reason why that actually happens is because I tend to give people a chance to see what they would do, unbridled, if you like. I don't know if that's the right word. Because I want to see their true nature. So it's like, for me, again, in situations, it doesn't matter how much leeway you give me. I'm going to be respectful of your boundaries. I'm not going to take advantage of you. I'm not going to take advantage of you in any way, at least not intentionally, even if somebody feels like I have or whatever, then I would never deny somebody that might have happened, but it would never have been intentional, because just because I have the opportunity doesn't mean I'm going to take it, right? But I recognize that when you give people that opportunity, they run at the opportunity to take that power, right? If they can. And all humans do it. That's why my life has been the way it has been. And so many of you guys here at the winning team probably have experienced the exact same thing. That's why I feel like we all have come together, because we're all just like knowing that this is something we all go through. And it's like, how did these people get the power? You give them the power. So if I give somebody the opportunity and I just kind of let them see what they want to get away with, I've noticed that people, there's no stopping. You give people the opportunity to take power from you, and they take some power at your current boundary, you take a step back. They'll move to your next, where you are now, and then you take a step back. They will never stop. That's why I don't like humans. Because I realize humans are unrelentingly, selfishly, obsessed with money, power, and fame, and taking and not having to reciprocate anything, right? And giving away power, right? And so a lot of people, when you're in a losing mentality, just give your power away. So I'm saying, you're just giving your power away constantly. Giving away my power. I'm giving away my power. This I was thinking, when I was sick, I was like, you know what? I'm not giving away my power. I don't care if I'm not well. I don't care, whatever. I'm not giving away my power. I'm standing on my power. I'm going to rise up again. This is why I'm out here gallivanting, skipping, like I was in hospital 2 weeks ago with high blood pressure, like I wasn't in bed, coughing like a crazy person a couple of days ago, I don't still feel horrible and still feel everything is still happening, because I'm like, no. The Bible says that the righteous shall fall 7 times and they will rise again. So I'm rising again. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking power. It doesn't matter what's happening. And this is what I've realized about things in life. That's what I'm saying. When I'm talking to this bully girl and I was like, hey, she's like, she tries to bully me on her. I'm like, go ahead, sit on me. What are you going to do? I don't know where the confidence came from. I genuinely don't. I genuinely believe all of the confidence has come because I gave my life to Jesus at the age of 7. I truly believe that. And I feel like the Holy Spirit just kicks in. Okay, this is another problem I have. So behind me, I'm not going to show because I'm going to make the area I'm in really obvious. Canada's maple barbecue and bacon quarter pounder captured from McDonald's. Why is it that every time I walk past this bus stop, almost every time, I would say, to be conservative, of all the ads I see, 1 in 4 times I see McDonald's. The world in the West wants to kill us. This is what I'm saying. They want to kill us. Because why? If we're that serious about healthy eating and all this, and have these rules now for kids and their school lunches now, and the government's making us pay 20 extra p if you get Coke with the full sugar in it. But it's that's just a cash grab, number one. And because at the end of the day, why am I always only seeing ads for fast food? I was thinking about this the other day, but conversation for another day. Anyways, do you guys get the point of what I'm saying? So that's why Lowkey Regina George is my unsung hero, because at the end of the day, she's the freaking one who, at the very least, was realistic about who she was as a person, right? She wasn't trying to pretend to be something that she wasn't. She was aware of the power she had, and she was aware of the circumstances she was in. And she just chose the option that best suited her, because why not, right? Because everybody's worshipping her anyway. Everybody's treating her like whatever anyways, based on her looks or her charisma or whatever, She tells the girl, oh my gosh, your skirt is so cute. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Regina George. Like how people cry about celebrities, right? You know what I mean? Or how Christians are the same with the church leaders. Oh my gosh, I gotta go see Pastor so-and-so. I went to Pastor so-and-so seminar. It was the best day of my life. You know what I mean? And it's look, don't get me wrong. The Holy Spirit can move and it really could have been the best day of your life. But was it the Holy Spirit that was making it the best day of your life? Was it God? Or was it because that you heard a very charismatic leader on the stage tell you a message that told you exactly what you wanted to hear when you wanted to hear it? I completely forgot the last... Oh yeah. People were worshipping their leaders. It's you give them the power. That's why it's kind of you know what? I'm having another turning point. In my head, I'm having a turning point again right now, because now I'm thinking maybe I should actually turn away my attention from the so-called leaders, celebrities, you name it. Why are people driving right where I am all the time? That's so weird. If ever I stop somewhere, somebody has to stop there. Somebody has to be wherever I am all the time, and it's so freaking annoying. Like, I actually hate it. This happens to me all the time, where like in any aspects of life, it's like I could be looking at a spot somewhere, and nobody will be there, and I could be staring at that same spot for an hour. The second I go there, somebody else has to be there, and I feel like it's the devil always making sure that there's a human around, because he knows that it's making me want to throw myself in front of the traffic. You know what I mean? But anyway, this is what I'm thinking now. Like, I might have to pivot my whole message about everything I've been saying and actually target the jury of the sheeple itself, instead of the leaders, instead of the celebrities, instead of the whatevers. Because now that I'm thinking about it, like, especially this whole Regina George thing, it's like, as I say to you guys, the power's with the people, and the people like to act like they don't have any say or any way that they are contributing to anything that's happening, which is so untrue. Like, people like to be like, oh, well, I'm just broke and I'm just a nobody. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a somebody, because you're a somebody that goes and walks into the supermarket and buys ingredients, just like all the other somebodies that do that and make sure that the supermarkets are making money. You're another somebody that goes to the hospital and takes all their medications, and just like everybody else does. So that means that the hospital and the pharmaceutical industries have an industry. You're just a somebody that buys tickets to a concert, like all the other somebodies that buy tickets to the concert. That mean that Beyonce can get paid 30 million to sing for 1 hour in freaking Dubai, right? You think you're just a somebody, but you're a somebody who's another one of the somebodies who takes your kids to school, so you can continue the school system, and the school system can still exist, right? And your children can go through what they go through. Like, you're not just a somebody. And like, this is what annoys me. And like, and I'm honestly thinking I might have to pivot my fire towards the jury of the sheeple. You know, I've called out the leaders enough. If they want to at this point, it's like, if they're going to humble themselves, they will. But like, the more I'm thinking about this Regina George thing that I'm telling you guys about, the more I'm just like, you know what? The jury of the sheeple just makes it easy. Like, if I want it, do you know what I realized in my first year of school? I'll be honest. I'll tell you guys the truth. If you made it this far, I'll tell you guys what really happened when I was at school, right? In secondary school. In my first year, I was horrible. I was a horrible person. And that was when God humbled me by making my ability to speak as eloquently as I used to stop. I used to speak far more eloquently when I was like 10, 11 than now. And you might think I'm eloquent, I'm not. Those days, I knew how to say what I wanted to say, and I knew how to say it concisely and say it properly. I was a way greater speaker, and the Lord just took that away from me, because I was using it for bad reasons, and I understand. And now the fact that I struggle to speak is something that keeps me humble, and I'm like, you know what, fair enough, God. I can't argue with that. Because I mean, like, me and God, we've had that relationship for a long time, because that was when I was 11 and I'm 28 now, so I think that was 17 years ago, and I understood what was happening at the time, and I humbled myself after that first year. But the first year I was at secondary school, I was horrible. And I remember, like, I wasn't doing it on purpose. I kind of just realized people were very easy to manipulate, like everybody. And so I did for like the first year. And then I changed my ways because of something that one girl said to me. I was in German class, right? I was sitting next to this girl who I love, right? And she says to me, I don't want to tell you anything because I feel like you're somebody who likes to, stir the pot, whatever. And I was like, really? Like, and then when she said that, that was the first time I realized I was actually being heinous. I never was intentionally being heinous. And from that moment, I decided I was going to become a different person, and I did. And then that's when obviously I got my own, what others would describe as karma. I got my friends the year after that. So that's 2 years later. The whole story of the hacked Facebook, everybody in the town and all the secondary schools thinking I wanted to beat up this girl, whatever. And the thing that stuck out to me was, and I'll tell you this, I had a sleepover with some other girls after I'd changed my behavior, and I realized that my behavior was toxic, but I didn't know. I was just a child. And I'll be honest with you guys, one of the biggest failings I feel like I had as a child is adults not explaining to me how my behavior was destructive, because I didn't know it was destructive. I wasn't being destructive on purpose. Does that make sense? So I didn't know that I was being problematic. I was just being natural, because I realized, I can kind of just manipulate everybody. And so I just did. But I didn't realize there was a problem because I was a child. And that's why I'm like, Lord, actually let me die, because it's like you have to pay the sins for things you did as a child when you didn't even know you were doing it. You weren't doing it on purpose, but people make you pay for it for the rest of your entire life, you know, excluding God. So anyway, I went to sleepover, and afterwards, and after I changed my behavior, and me and that girl were still cool to this day. And the girls at the sleepover, I'm actually still cool with to this day. And they told me at the sleepover, they were like, you were the most popular girl in year 7. I was like, I was the most I never imagined that was the case, by the way. I never thought in any way I never saw myself that. This is what these girls said, and a lot of other people probably don't think that in the school. I don't know. But these girls at the sleepover, they were like, yeah, you were the most popular girl in year 7, and you weren't very nice. Like, you weren't really a nice person. I was so grateful to them for that conversation, because as soon as they told me, I was like, oh, you know what? I now get it, and I'm gonna work on how I use my, ability, like how I conduct myself, because I wasn't my intention to hurt anybody. I was just having fun with it, and whatever. And I was just a kid, you know what I mean? And this is what I'm like, the world will punish you for making mistakes when you're just a child. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to try when you're an adult. That's why I'm like, it doesn't matter for me to go to therapy now. It doesn't matter what I do, because I've already been the villain. I'm already the villain. I'm already the problem. So what use is any work or anything anybody's going to do now going to change anything? It's going to change nothing, because everybody's already got their ideas in their head. So even if I progress, even if I change, that's not going to change nothing. So with the world, with God, obviously, he washes away my sins and he sees me as brand new. His mercies are new every morning. God's mercies, whatever I did wrong yesterday, today God is like, my mercies are new for you today, my love. So, but yeah, so that's what the girl said. They said that you were the most popular girl in the last year, and they were like, you're not very nice. And I really appreciated that they explained that they had thought I wasn't very nice, because people don't often, tell me how they really feel, and they just kind of shy back and kind of act like everything I'm doing, that they feel I'm doing on purpose. And because they never actually give me a chance to explain myself, I never know how they're actually feeling. That's one of my number one problems I have with relationships, is people just assuming that I know how that's why I've learned to tell people how I feel, because it's like sometimes you're just assuming you're assuming that I know how you feel, but I don't know how you feel, because that wouldn't have bothered me. Me being around me in year 7, if I'd met a girl like me, it wouldn't have bothered me. Like I just said about the bullying thing, it's like, and what, and so what, and so who, and so where, who is she anyway? You know what I mean? So that's what made me realize that people really give you a lot of power, because I'm like, I wasn't never trying to take that power from people, intentionally. I was realizing that at the time, I was just taking advantage of the opportunities that were before me. Does that make sense? That other people created, because I had no security. I didn't love myself. People thought I was a whore at secondary school, right? And there was all these stories of all these guys that I slept with, right? And a lot of them lied that I did, which I found out about when my brother went to my school, because they all said, oh, your sister did this and me. Do you know the main reason I never did any of that? It's because I was so insecure about my body. I never wanted anybody to see me naked, especially after I'd been violated. So it took me until I was in my 20s to actually overcome that whole thing of not being insecure about my body, and I'm still insecure about it. And so all these things that people would put onto me about being arrogant and being I'm trying to do this, it's like you're projecting, because that's not how I feel. That's how you feel. But because that's how you feel, you've given me now the power that I'm not even trying to wield, and power that I'm not even trying to have. Does that make sense? Anyway, I'm going to leave this video. It's been long enough. I'm doing podcasts. I'm going to need to start a podcast at this point. But I feel like I've got so much to say, you guys. And sometimes I'm just I literally listened to a 4.5 hour video yesterday. I listened to all of Trisha Paytas' 3 hour podcast, and I'm like, you know what? At some point, like, we all have to just like, sometimes something that somebody has to say isn't going to be in two seconds. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to let the thing build, and just like, I'm trying to like think through things with you guys and be as vulnerable and as honest and as real and as raw as possible. And that's why a lot of my videos are really long, because I'm actually talking through my thought processes with you, you know, as I'm having them. So yeah, Lowkey Regina George is my hero. That's the take home message, because I get it. She had an opportunity, people gave it to her. Whether she understands it or not is not, we don't even know, because maybe like me, like in the situation I was in, you know, it's like people are looking at you a certain way that you're not necessarily looking at yourself. Like, I hated myself. I hated everything about myself at that time. You know what I mean? So for people to have treated me like, oh yeah, you're this horrible girl, you're the most popular girl like in the school and like whatever, like I was just like, how? That would never cross my mind that I was even in that position, because of how many things I hated about myself. But the fact is, my actions ended up producing that, because people were looking at me that way and therefore treating me that way. And the only time that changed is when people used their power to make that change, if that makes sense. When people were like, well, actually, I don't, like, you know, the girl who told me in German, I don't trust you, and the other girls. Anyways, loves again. Spoke to Win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.